Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to the Jetty Jet Show. We have another redraw episode for you, and this week's redraw challenge winner goes to _Hachijin_. Congratulations! I knew you could do it. Good job. And we are drawing Hachijin's OC, Erin. I love Erin. Erin is an awesome looking character. There's a lot of great shapes, cool angles. I love the textures. I love the shading, cross-hatching, especially cross-hatching. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's times like this that I feel like, man, I want to do the drawing justice. Before I move on and before I forget, I want to mention how I select these winners so you guys don't feel cheated. Well, I look through the Instagram and I don't click on any of the names, and I just scroll down and I just randomly pick one, and whichever name I pick I go with. I have to run with, because I can't sit there and pick and choose, otherwise I'm gonna be like debating and all this stuff. So I think it's most fair that I pick out of the names, and sometimes I'll do it with Cynics and Boogie Monster. And now let's get on to the drawing. This week I completely messed up. I unfortunately only recorded half of the process, so I apologize. I didn't get the whole entire thing. I didn't realize I paused and I didn't resume. So that's something I need to make a note of and remember not to do next time. If you guys remember from last week's redraw, I made notes. I said I was struggling a lot on that drawing, and from that I needed to learn from my mistakes. So this week I feel so much better about this piece. I feel like I achieved what I was going for in a lot faster time. Actually, a lot faster time. Of course, I wanted to keep going and keep drawing, but we have a time limit. At most an hour. I'm using just the default colored pencil to start off my sketch, and I usually use the colored pencil because it has a texture and it feels a lot like actual pencil. It's really forgiving, and by forgiving it I mean it has like a slight transparency to it, so when you stroke you get kind of a lighter tone, and you can build darker tones over it with texture, and it just feels really light and loose. So I really like that. I started off with the nude figure without having to worry about the clothing. I noticed that your character has a lot of layers, and I struggled a bit. Because I want to capture everything that you have, but she was just wearing so much clothes. But maybe that's your character. Maybe your character just likes layers. I used to always wear a lot of layers, but I realized it was just getting too complicated at times. But for this, it's okay. Let's work with the layers. And in order to make everything readable, I just made sure that the shapes were big and simple enough to read. It's big, simple, and bold. Bold seems kind of vague in general, so I think the better word for it is simple. Try to represent those elements with as little strokes as you can. That'll keep the shape a lot more easier to read. But even at this loose stage, it's starting to get really messy, so I'm having trouble seeing what's going on. There's a scarf, there's a hoodie underneath the scarf, there's a v-neck, there's a jacket, and then there's a blouse underneath. Perfectly fine. We're gonna run with it, and we have to make it work, because that's your drawing. That's the challenge. So touching back on being inspired and not copying and using reference too closely, if you notice in the beginning, I actually changed the tilt of the head that I initially drew because I noticed there was a tilt in your drawing, and I didn't incorporate it until now. And so in order to capture it, I kind of overshoot it. Slightly overshoot it. Not too much, but slightly overshoot it, so that we know that there's that tilt in there, so that you can capture the gesture. And I also drew the glasses a little bit too low compared to your drawing. I had to actually lower than the eyes of your drawing, and gotta stay true to your drawing. I thought it would look cool with the glasses underneath, but you know what? Glasses are for using and not looking cool. Sometimes it can be, but what I thought was really cool was you had that glare blocking out one of the eyes, and I've seen that before, and I always wanted to do it. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to apply it on this piece. Once everything has been laid out, this is the point where I feel self-doubt. I'm saying, are the shapes appealing enough? It's okay to feel self-doubt. You look at your drawing, you're like, wait a second, am I going down the wrong path here? Can we go back? No, everything's fine. So we've laid out the gesture, we laid out the anatomy, we laid out all the shapes. Let's just work on making the shapes a little more appealing. So I'm simplifying shapes and trying to make them a little more aesthetically appealing. Less emphasis on boobs. This is a really important thing that a lot of artists, including myself, battle with. So there's a time and place for sexy drawings, and sometimes we don't need to emphasize the silhouette or the curvature of the boobs. It'll feel forced, especially when clothing is so heavily layered. There's a time and place, and this isn't that time. Being a little more subtle with things can be sexy too. But overall, this character, we're not trying to go for that look. We're going with a little more character and personality, and that's the emphasis with this character, I think. And a lot of times when you focus on emphasizing character and personality, it will really strengthen the overall drawing and appeal. Think about like Miyazaki characters. There's a lot of characters in there, a lot of female characters in there. There's no sex appeal in the main character, but we relate with them, and relatability is key to just creating that interest. But it just depends on the time and place. And so for this one, we're just going with our character and personality building. But I saw that you did the cross hatching, and I really tried to mimic some of your cross hatching. Not really mimic, but just be inspired again. So I'm trying to incorporate cross hatching, is what I'm saying. But I did it in a way that's a little bit more less cross and just more hatching. Just trying to stay light on the cross hatching. Didn't want to overpower the character with just so many different elements. There's the clothing elements, there's the line, there's the gesture, there's the texture, which is cross hatching, and there's lighting and shadow and stuff like that. So I only have an hour, and I have to pick and choose my battles and figure out what is it that I want in the drawing most. But again, I want to go back and stress, don't force the sexy. That's what I wrote down as a note. Use other elements to emphasize your character's appeal, and your character will shine. So remember, sometimes less is more. I see sometimes where artists are trying to fit in the cleavage or the curvature, kind of like an afterthought. So here on out, I'll be talking about things that you will not see me working on because the video got cut off. But for me to do the lines, to get the darker lines, I opened a new layer and I cleaned everything up separately, just redrew everything, emphasizing the silhouette and shapes, outlines. And I started building some values, and like I usually do, to create a quick and easy way to create a nice finishing look is I create like strong cast shadows, and I chose one main cast shadow, and that would be the one for the scarf. You can choose whichever portion of the drawing to make a cast shadow, but for me, I just stuck with the scarf, and there are like secondary cast shadows like underneath the neck and a little bit underneath the hand. So kind of a balance of 1, 2, and 3. So I find myself going for a more minimal look, trying to simplify and go with larger, simple shapes, similar to like, think of like actual 2D animations. They have very simple shapes, so that it's a lot easier for animation. And I find that a lot more interesting. Actually, it creates a lot more interest. Finding out what I want my drawings to look like, kind of like finding a style. And in order to make it more efficient, I'm trying to get faster at it by drawing more and more line work. So you'll be seeing a lot more of these, and they're just a lot more faster. Very important thing to always remember is finished, not perfect. And this is just a great way for me to practice just overall gesture and style. And until I can actually get that down, I won't move ahead. Thanks again, Erin, for lending us your work to do a redraw for. Oh, I meant to say Hachijin. I know your name's not Erin. Erin's the character, your OC. I do want to keep going, but time's up. Sorry, you guys know the drill. If you guys want your drawing redrawn, go ahead and find this drawing on my Instagram and request a redraw, and we'll see about getting it done. Thanks for watching. Take care, and as always, peace.